everyone, welcome to Southern Wreaths. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. Today I'm going to make this really cute square Easter wreath. These are the supplies I'm going to use to make this wreath. I'm going to start by gathering the 21-inch mesh so I can attach it to my wire frame. I've never used other square wreath forms before from other stores, so I'm not sure how their bases would be. But for the Dollar Tree square wreath forms, I'm adding the mesh at one of the crossbars along the long way, since the corners don't have a crossbar. And then once I get it in there, I'm just going to trim away the zip tie and the deco mesh around the back just so it'll sit flat. This mesh is actually for fall, but I thought the colors were perfect with the sign that I got. It has the orange and kind of a gold orange and brown, and of course the jute. I decided to do the pull-through method with this. And then this is what's going to help you decide how big your poofs are going to be through the whole entire wreath. So just think about that when you're pulling it through the first time. And then you want to alternate which section you're putting your poof in. So I started on the inside and now I'm moving to the outside. And I'm going to put 4 in each outside section. I do the corners a little bit different and I'll show you that in a second. And it's just like you do with burlap where you pull it through. It just might hurt your hands a little bit more depending on what kind of mesh you're using. Jute mesh is really soft, so I wasn't too worried about that. But you could use any kind of mesh with this. You could probably even use 10-inch mesh. I just thought this particular mesh went perfect with my sign. And then I'm just going to fluff them out as I go. The only thing I would change later on is I would fluff each poof as I pull it through. It kind of got a little messy at the end. So just learn from my mistakes and do it differently. And you'll see what I mean as I'm going through. I'll point it out. Okay, so after I finish that section, I'm going to move on to the corner. And I'm doing the same thing, pulling the mesh through. I'm just going to kind of push it to the side until I get through the corner. I knew I needed extra poofs on the outside versus the inside, but the only way to do that was to have 2 side by side, and that wouldn't really work. The reason they stay in there is because they're alternated. So I just ended up adding an extra one to the center, and it didn't really make a big deal. It didn't change it that much. So I end up with 6 poofs in each corner. So I have 4 in the 4 center sections and 6 in each corner. And then I'm just fluffing it as I go, which is what I suggest you should do through the whole wreath. Now I'm just going to quickly finish the wreath. If anyone's interested in following me on social media, you can find me on Instagram at Southern Wreaths More, on Facebook at Southern Wreaths, and I also have a Facebook group called Southern Wreaths and More. I would love to see any of the wreaths you've made, especially if you do any based on my videos. That would be amazing. I also have all of these links in the description below. You can definitely see a difference here in the left side of the wreath versus the right in the way the bubbles are fluffed. The left looks really nice and even, and the right is just all jumbled together. Pulling up each section, I'm just going to gather it together in the back and attach it to the frame with a zip tie, just the way I did at the beginning to start everything. You want to pull these zip ties really tight, and then I just trim everything away. And then I'll go back through and fluff my wreath. This isn't my favorite wreath. If I could go back and do it again, I would take my time and do it a lot more even. This wreath could really look great if you just took the time to do it properly. I was just kind of having fun with it. It was different and new, and I really like trying new things. And I've never done this with a square wreath form, so I thought it was nice. You'll notice at the end when I'm showing you the final picture that there's a big spot that looks funny that's missing, but I fix that later. I go through and work on this for a long time trying to get it as even as possible. To add the carrots to the wreath, first I laid them out and figured out how I wanted to put them on the wreath and how many I wanted to use. And then I'm just cutting these pipe cleaners into thirds. This doesn't quite reach all the way to the back, so some of them I attach to the actual mesh. You could also just cut the pipe cleaner in half. I decided after the first one, after I struggled for a while, that I would just use some scissors to slide through the back and just kind of poke underneath the string. It's like jute twine, to get it to come up so I could just slide the pipe cleaner under. I went ahead and went through and did that to every carrot. I'm sorry I lost the footage of me adding them to the wreath, but I just fed it through to the back, or if they were not long enough, I just attached them to the actual mesh and then just twist it around to secure them. I like to shake my wreath sometimes when I'm done just to make sure nothing's going to fall off. And then to add my sign, I'm just stapling some pipe cleaners to the back of it. Luckily, this sign was thick enough to where I didn't have to put any kind of cushion. And I did one on each corner. It's just easier to attach it that way. I like to loosely add things at first. I like to do the top left corner, bottom right corner. I do the opposite, just so I have an idea of how it's going to fit on there. And then at the end, you can always tweak each area. But I'll go through and do that with each 4 corners. This is what it looks like when it's done. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below, or you can always email me at craftingwithlee@yahoo.com. Thanks so much for watching, and if y'all like my video, please like, share, and subscribe. Thank you.